Hey guys, it's Sky. I am up in my cabin here and it's kind of winter and I hope you can hear me. Anyway, today I wanted to talk to you about the difference between aliens and extraterrestrials, and the reason that I need to talk to you about is because in my connections with the light beings lately, they said there's a lot of confusion on this, and that if as a planet we were to clear this up, there would be things would come together a lot easier. So I'm going to do my best to translate this information. Now, even on your search, you might find that the pieces will come together when we really can understand the difference between the aliens and the extraterrestrials. Now, if you can imagine our universe, and in this particular universe, we go in we have dimensions. Okay, in our realm right here, in this earth, we have dimensions. On Let's bring it down to earth. We have dimensions, and let's say we're going to connect with 9 of them. Right now, as on planet Earth, the way that most people see reality, they're looking at 3 dimensions. Okay, so within these 3 dimensions, you can see, this angle, you can see this angle, you can see right through here. That would be 3 dimensional. And most of the time, the aliens are operating on the aliens that have. Okay, so those are. I'll just give you a dimension of what most human beings operate on. Now, the aliens operate on these higher dimensions. So I just gave you 3 dimensions of what they can look at and see and visualize and work with. Now they go up to 4 dimensions, so they've got another angle to look at us. And then there's the fifth dimension, and we keep going up these certain dimensions, right? This is like the basic way to picture through this. Now, the aliens operate on the the dimensions that you and I can't see. So therefore, in many ways, they can almost appear like gods because they're able to do things that you and I are not able to do. So in that format, even if you go back into the old times, a lot of times people are being tricked because they believe that they're gods from another, from other realms, because they come in the sky and they come in big ships, and we don't have access to this. Well, in other dimensions, they have all access to this. Our dimension has actually been kind of, we have a little our dimension in our memory has been tweaked quite a bit, and so we have limited access. Although that is really changing. People are been taken out of the matrix, and people have been taken out of these dimensions, and many light workers have been either genetically coded to have their memory back, or they have been connected to someone, or they are connected. The ETs have come and connected with us. Now I have to connect with you. I have to really get what this means, because a lot of times there's just so much confusion. The aliens are who more works with. They're interdimensional beings. Now there's our dimensional, and they're interdimensional. Like I gave you the example of the dimensions. They're able to go within these interdimensional beings. The extraterrestrials, on the other hand, now, the aliens can go, like, say, up to 4 and 5 dimensions. And yes, there are negative energies in the fourth and the fifth dimensions, and I know people don't want to really believe that, but when you get up to these higher realms, higher, I'm talking up to ninth dimensions, then we're talking heaven. And now, and like the seventh and the eighth, we're talking more things like sound, like creating even babies out of sound. They use the most magnificent things because we're coming from the New Jerusalem, we're coming from the ETs, one of the most highest realms under God. And then eighth and ninth, we're talking about light forms. Down in 4 and 5, these dimensions, these are more like the aliens will operate on the fourth and the fifth dimension, more the four being collective. This is where the government came in when I told you that the aliens came here a long time ago, and that they had intermingled with our government, meaning, let me get you back to history here. Like, say, during the time, you can even bring it back to the dinosaur time. If you want to believe in the dinosaur time, if you want to believe in the Nephilim, whatever way you say that, it's the same progression into what is happening now. They've they initially, these reptoids were actually, uh, they were sent off to find Earths and civilizations, and they came in and they had the ability to go in these very hostile environments and find habitation for us, and find a way to make it all work. So uh, some of the reptoids think that because they had participated in creating some of the planet, that they still own it. So these reptoids have been here 26,000 years ago. Some of them have been through the dinosaur age. Whether you believe in that, like I said, or if you believe in just Nephilim or extraterrestrials that mingled with the humans, however you want to say it, that there's reptoids, and many of them have alien powers because they're higher dimensional beings than we are, and they've been here for a very long time. They come here from other galaxies. So, but they've been underground, and they've been kept from us, and we've been in a quarantine. Although, like I said, when we let off the atomic bomb, we during World War II, or during the war, Eisenhower um, was met by these extraterrestrials, right? So we sent out a stress call, and we were met by, it's kind of a long story, but we were met by um, some people that wanted to work with us, and we did not go along with it. They asked us to give up our nuclear weapons, and we did not do that. But there are a bunch of people that did break off, and they did connect with the Palladians, and they did connect with I think parts of the gray aliens, and they branched off into their own section, I believe, with part of the reptoids and the Anunnaki, and they they branched off, and eventually, through time, um, became became through time became controllers of what we are experiencing now on the planet. They've kind of taken over with the darker forces, with the alien races. Now, there's two ways they did this. They did this through technology. I mean, there's two ways that they gathered this technology. They do it. The aliens are able to trick us in ways because, for one, they've been around a long time. For two, um, like when you do things like when we connected during the Eisenhower time, when we sent out this stress call, like a group of them had maneuvered off. So right there, you have access to higher dimensions, because some of the Palladians and their technology and the Greys and their technology is it's so huge compared to what we had here, but it's still so huge that it still can appear like something godly, because it's bigger than us. So, so, but that's not I just have to be careful here, because not all people are, not all Palladians, like not all Palladians are good. I know everybody wants to think that. And not all reptilians are bad. Not all, I'm sorry, excuse me, reptilians. Not all Greys are bad. It's just like saying that's like all white people in America are bad. It's just not. That's just not reality. But there is a section that did group off, and they did um, uh, go in, and those are the people that are kind of, they go in and they start working with our government, and they've kind of controlled our planet. They set up incarnation grids. They've set up incarnation grids, and they set up, they're also well, let me go back. They set up incarnation grids. It was also good. There's good story to this too. So, but anyway, so they come into our presidency, and they have maneuvered their way into everything that you could possibly imagine. Um, the aliens are responsible for the aliens, not the ETs, the aliens that are fourth and fifth dimensionals, and they're higher dimensional than us. They're responsible for all the media. They're responsible for all the wars and what planet's going to go where. They're responsible for controlling our presidents. They're responsible for putting um, diseases into our cells, because they have the technology to override our cells. See, it goes back to a war between Jesus and Satan. That's a very basic way to say it. We came into this holy land under not I don't want to say Jesus, 'cause that's going to be limiting to some people. It's not. It's, you can say Isis and Osiris. You just say whatever you want to say, that's meant to be holy, and the dark energy has done everything they can to just destroy the most holiest things under God, even our human cells. Yeah, you could, they just they've come in and given us viruses like the AIDS virus, because they don't like human beings. They don't want us to have us here. Remember the Enel part? If you watch my old video, remember the Enel part? They want to mimic the human race through technology, and so anyway, so not only do they put AIDS in, they try to control us through chemtrails, through through uh, wars, through everything, our television, our microwaves, these nanotechs that they're going to put in that they put into some people, because they have the technology to do this. And they have the technology to do this because even during the crash, like I said, one way is because we got the technology from when we made the agreements, and part of our darker government, shadow government, broke off and formed with part of the Palladians, maybe some Zeta Reticulars, but not all of them are bad. So I just want to be clear on that. And then so then from there, they also, the other way is, when we had the Roswell crash, there was a lot of information on there, and a lot of information on that was, well, you can say it was a crash, or maybe you can say we made it look like a crash because the technology that was on there was technology that could mimic and clone anything. But human beings, our consciousness, the planes, the aliens, that's why in the Bible they say you can be tricked, you can be tricked, you can be tricked, because you can be tricked. It's true. And so they're actually able to clone us, and they can take our consciousness, and this is where the whole MK Ultra comes in, and connecting with our consciousness when we sleep. That's why in the old days, and the Gnostics, they warned us, they taught us the stuff that this was coming, and a lot of those books got burned. They taught us this stuff, there's ways to protect yourself. Like, they really do connect with you in the ethereal, because we are energy, and around this energy field, they have the ability to pick up on this energy, this auric field. That's why we must protect our auric field. We have to clear out our good within us. We have to clear out this auric field. And then you will be protected under the Christ energy light, the light of God, the light of Prime Creator. You can call that whatever you want to call it. It doesn't change it because you call it something different. So anyway, so you have access to that you have access to that above all of this craziness. Now, what these aliens also do is they have the ability to come in and mimic our stargates, and stop us from getting a connection to the higher realms. And I have to get to the ETs, but before I do that, I just want to tell you, I mentioned the aliens put in the nanoparticles in our body that apparently will activate us, and in some people they have already. If you felt like you were, the light is always working behind this, so don't ever fear these guys. They just are bullying you. Anyway, if you need to, well, they're bullying you. They are destroying us. We don't need to be afraid of it because we have God, actually, because we have Prime Creator. I mean, we weren't left here with nothing. We have our DNA coding in us that ignites us to the most holiest there is at any time. Imagine what that would do if we were all ignited. Do you think these reptoids would stay on our planet? No, they can't. They're leaving anyway. So, So anyway, I just now if you do by chance have the nano particles in you, whoops, I did this video yesterday and it clicked out right there. If you do have the nanoparticles in you and you feel like they have gotten you, I did a lot of research on this. I read hours worth of stuff. Anyway, they say what I had found is you can. I'm an herbologist, but I will tell you anyway, you can bathe, and this is what I found from researching the nano particle things, bathe in wine or grapefruit or grape juice, not grapefruit juice, grape juice. So it's the wine or the grape juice, and that has the ability to pull it out of your system. Now, if you already have it in your system and you need to get it out of your system, what you can do, what they're doing to protect themselves, what many people are doing is this I already ordered this anyway. I already had this. Is I don't know if you can see it, but it's oil of oregano. And I know that some people know this, but just to give you a reminder, it's you do 20 drops of this in a gallon of water. And if you are ever, in the wilderness, you're suffering, this is very good for clearing out most infection in the whole upper body. Actually, a lot of disease can come pulling out. It pulls out through the oil, but because oil is an emulsion to water, you have to put in the 20 drops. I don't think you can just take the oregano pills. I think you have to put it in there, and you have to drink the gallon of water, clean water. And then yes, that's if you have it already. And then if you, like I said, if you feel like it's in your system, go take the bath and bathe yourself anyway in the grape, and that is probably really good for your skin anyway. So that's just one thing. And then so let me get back to the extraterrestrials. The extraterrestrials are the beings that give us this kind of information. The extraterrestrials actually are the beings that they're above the fourth and fifth dimension. Now, they are able to go in the dimensions. Remember, when Satan fell, or when the dark fell, they had a third of their powers, but the ETs don't. They have all their powers. So that's the difference right there. The extraterrestrials, like the aliens, are able to mimic you. They're able to come to you in your consciousness. They're able to come to you to make you think they're light beings. They're able to come to you to make you think, or not light beings, angels. Light beings, that I connect with light beings, they're, they're God energy. There's no mistaking that. But they have the ability to trick you. Now ETs have, they come from God's source, and they are able to go in all these dimensions. They can come in many beautiful forms. A lot of them come in fairy forms. They come in orbs. They extraterrestrials are the extraterrestrial self, the highest version God made, angelic self, closest to God. Now that takes a lot of dimensions, because that is the holiest. It's connections to God, not God, not God itself, but we're all connected to source. We're all connected to source. But the like God's angels is the best way to describe it, and they operate on very high levels. They're able to do magnificent things. They can put together planets. They can create. They can. They are messengers for God. They work under God. They work. There's a lot of extraterrestrials that are out here in California helping. I know last year we were going to have a horrible earthquake here that was set up by the darker forces, and they stop that stuff. They stop it. They work very hard. The extraterrestrials work very hard. They go underground and they help with all the the aliens are responsible for a lot of the. If there's a missing child, a lot of them, they take the children. They even with our government that's involved with children, it is very unsafe. It is very unsafe. They take the children and they use them for like we we have a food chain. We think it's okay to take animals and kill cows and chickens, and we look at them as a lower life form. We even hire people to have farms and kill them, and we put money into that so we can eat them. Well, they do the same, the aliens do the same thing to us. They have a whole organization to get people, even babies, especially babies, born October, November, no, September, October, November. That's the whole dark sacrificial months. That's why 9/11 happened. That's all the dark stuff happens then. That's just the aliens' food. That's their banquet. So anyway, they just like we do that to animals, they think it's okay to do it to us because they look at us as a lower life form. Many of them are trying to get rid of us because they think we're a lower life form. So they actually take babies and they eat them. I am doing huge uh, awareness on this. Like I said, I wrote a book on the archons and the archon network and the MK Ultra in our children. That is what the aliens do. They're able to mimic you, grab your consciousness, and take it through children, through the music, through radio, through all this stuff that is going on. I wrote a big book about it. I'm very familiar with this. I'm very protective of what the children are going through right now. And the teenagers, but thank God for the light workers. And again, this is where the ETs come in, because in the extraterrestrial form, the higher beings, there's a lot of kids are being brought in, being born right now that are indigo. They're of higher senses. They haven't been lost by third dimension. They haven't had their memory erased just down to third dimension. These aliens are erasing our memory of our extraterrestrial self. So this is the difference. Now they say all that trickery in the Bible, it's true, but they also, we cannot omit that we are going to be going to a higher extended version of humanity, because the God source is coming in right now. And in order for that to happen, the aliens, the whole alien thing has to be, the whole alien cabal, and it's kind of the same thing. Alien cabal, Satan, government, it's kind of like the same sentence. That is going to be taken off the planet. So, and we are all working together to do this. You know, I said before, we're one of the last planets to have this happen. And so these other planets, they just knew that the dark cabal was running the planet. The awareness was very high, and they all got together and they worked together to make this happen. So this is what I would like us to do. This is why I keep bringing awareness to us and bringing awareness. This is what the light workers or scientists are really trying to get out to you of what is happening. So anyway, I hope I got all the difference between aliens and extraterrestrials, and I'm sure I'll mention a bunch of it in my other video. That you know, the presidents that tried to connect with us and work with the higher dimensions, they were disposed of. They didn't want this our government to go in this direction. They didn't want it. They had been controlled. So we as the people have to connect and get rid of this, and not really put our eye on government, but start our own connection, our own like I don't want to say government because it's just way of making the planet work that is separate from what we have had. So that's what we're working on too, and that's when the extraterrestrials come in. You know, they're going to be intermingling with us. Some of them already are. They just look like us. So, but when they come and we're introduced to, we're going to be introduced to a lot of different technology. So we have to be open and educated on this and moving forward. So anyway, I hope that helps explain some of the differences, and thank you for your search. I always say take what you like and leave the rest, but thank you for searching.